Bowl on your teacup's gone.
Yeah, the holiday, I guess, that thing expired. I'm very sad. Very, very sad. Now I'm
I'm
just a
glad I
regular.
didn't get it. I would have just showed up all by myself.
Right? I seriously thought about just like screenshotting it and then just making it my new one, but I never did, so. All right. Oh, Fox?
Gonna say you wouldn't screenshot an NFT, would you?
Of course not. This isn't an NFT.
Download a car,
This- All right. Well, we can go ahead and get started. I believe, yes, we have everybody on stage that we were looking for. So we'll go ahead and kick things off with an update from the Frisky Fox.
Great, thank you. It's been another week, and we're here for another AMA. We've been kind of talking about ideas to sort of change the format of these in the future, but nothing concrete yet. So stay tuned. But I really love having these like weekly touch points, and I guess what we do is just at the start we do updates on things we've been working on. We sort of mentioned last week that we released a new org chart internally, and I think we're looking at trying to release that sometime soon to the community as well. So stay tuned for that. But part of that update was we now have clearly defined pillars, and so I sort of like represent the blockchain pillar, and I was hoping to give some updates for the blockchain stuff, minus what Magnus will probably talk about because he's in there as well. But I did also want to kind of call out that we did have a title change. Magnus is now the Solidity director, and he's obviously like really involved in all of the Solidity things. Most of the contracts in the game have been written by him at this point, and he's just amazing. So if you see him, make sure to smack him on the back and just say congrats. So that was one I did want to mention real quick. The stuff we do on the blockchain pillar involves a lot of the infrastructure and the API and like the blockchain and like analytics and things. So we've had a lot of interesting initiatives that like we've been doing, including stepping up our internal analytics. We want to make sure that all of the choices that we make are driven by data, and that the stuff that we are doing is always in the right, I guess, direction for like the game and for the players. So that's really important, and I'm really excited about that new sort of initiative that we have internally. And Burr has been heavily involved with that. He's our main analyst, so happy to have him here as well. Let's see. Some things we've been working on. Some of them I'm actually going to save because there's some AMA questions that I saw that are about them. So I'll just wait till we ask it first and I'll answer. But I did want to talk about Pinecone. Is he up here actually? No, he's not. He's been hard at work on some blockchain executors or like node like runners basically that help to support some of our like on-chain oracles and things. Like it helps to secure our like randomness and other kinds of like automated tasks that we have to do. And he had to basically create a new system for that. And it's really awesome. It's actually been running really, really well. So if you see him, make sure to shout out a little kudos to him. That enables us to do a lot more things in the cross-chain front, because as we are a cross-chain game now, there will be a lot of opportunities to sync things across chain and have interactions across chain as well that have to be supported by a lot of that infrastructure there. So kudos to him on that. I also just briefly wanted to mention that we are currently undergoing a smart contract audit with Hacken. We try to do those as often as we can, and it's always smart as we like release new smart contracts to have those become audited as well. So we do care a lot about security, and we are in progress on that. So FYI, and let's see. Other initiatives where we're starting to look at and work on include things like the Clayton fee delegation. That's sort of a mouthful, but essentially like what it means is on Clayton, they have a program that allows projects to help to like subsidize like the fees for gas and have that be like reimbursed by the Clayton Foundation. So we're trying to figure out how we can apply that to our app and have that be some kind of like extra savings that we could then basically pass on to you guys in the community. So we're excited about that as well. And Magnus, I think you might have some updates that I won't steal from you, so I'll let you go next.
Yep, sure thing. So hey everybody. So yeah, this week we've been working on power ups still, as well as talking to several blockchain infrastructure providers this week to continue building out the service offerings on DFK chain. And then also with the new year, that also means a slate of new conferences coming up. And so we're working on planning a few different speaking engagements at some of those to share some of the cool things on the technical side with the rest of the crypto and Web3 world. And then as you guys may have noticed yesterday, there was a new release for the subnet EVM and Avalanche Go. So several of you guys have probably already updated to that, but if you haven't, just be sure to kind of check out those releases and get those nodes updated. I also talked to Ava Labs yesterday about some of the issues people have reported with syncing DFK chain, where kind of we have a lot of transactions on DFK chain, so it does take a while to sync. And basically they recommended if you only care about the current state and not the historical state, like you don't want to run an archive node or anything like that, to speed up the sync, you can turn on state sync for both C chain and DFK chain on your node, and then you'll kind of just skip all that historical stuff and go straight to the to kind of the latest I won't say snapshot, but just the latest time period, and then you'll start kind of syncing from there. So that should speed it up. It could take like 3 to 6 days to do it if you do a full sync. So it should dramatically speed things up a little bit on that side of things. But yeah, I think that's all my updates today.
Thank you, Magnus and Fox. Appreciate you both. We can go over to Dreamer.
Cool. Hi, everybody. Yeah, great updates so far. I'll try not to duplicate anything and fill in some of the holes. I'll also turn it over to Sunbear for any things that I missed on the BizDev side. But yeah, we're focused on a number of things across the group. There might be some updates coming out on some things you mentioned previously, but some of the partnerships you've been talking to this week, those over at Rome Blockchain Labs. If you look at the castle in the Archivist, there's a link right to the terminal that's really helpful to use. There are other options out there. I really like the terminal they put together. They have also added Clayton in addition to DFK chain with supported tokens there. We're looking to see how some of that information might also be able to be accessed in the game directly. So we're considering designs and things that would be not super invasive, but be helpful. So like the trading screen is more than just a 2 token entry trading screen, but there's some additional analytics there that might be simple, but hopefully really helpful. On the DeFi front, we are also and have been revisiting the lending piece. Magnus hadn't spoke to one of the relationships required for that, so I won't steal the thunder. I think that's in process, but DFK chain, we've lacked the ability to have some DeFi protocols build because of the lack of price feeds on our own chain. So pros and cons to having our own chain, but we are looking for a solution that we're pretty close to, and teeing up Banky, which was a relationship that we a relationship that we started strengthening almost a year ago. So excited to revisit that, while also seeking the same type of offering on Clayton. So that'll be progressing. More updates probably to come the next couple of weeks. Not something super immediate, but wanting to get DeFi offerings progressed, working with stable, good protocols out there, and making sure that we have like the right infrastructure and services provided to make sure it's safe for all that might use those services. There's I think every week I'm tagged in something in Discord about a centralized exchange listing. We are getting back to focus on the market maker that I don't think I mentioned yet, so I probably won't. We do have a contract that we'll be reviewing and discussing with them. I think I reached out to meet with them next week, so we might have somewhat of an update on at least the market maker side, and then identifying tier 1, tier 2s that we want to go after. So the Q1 goal is still the same, looking to get a reasonable agreement with a quality market maker and identify 1 or 2 listings to progress from there. So if anybody's expecting that to come in January, likely it won't be January. Still Q1, still in focus, and we're hoping that the market behaves to make it be the right decision and timing to do so. So I'll pause there on those high level updates. Sunbear, anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everyone. If you didn't know, I'm actually really shifted into a little bit different position than I've been in the past. And so you'll see on the new org chart that I am a relationship manager now. So basically that means that I'm working with the team to determine the partnerships that we need to obviously maintain and make sure they're good and healthy and open communications, but also the partnerships that we need to identify and pursue and respond to requests from. So just doing a lot of meetings with partners out there. And now that we're in the Clayton blockchain, there's just twice as many partners to connect with. So some of our priorities that I just wanted to share with you all. Obviously, one of them that continues that we've mentioned before is to continue finding people, games, protocols, whatever it might be, to build on DFK chain. Even though it's not an open chain yet, people can be whitelisted. And so exploring that option for people that are looking for fast transactions and low gas fees and great partnership with us. Also, a lot of focus on and getting a lot of requests from other games. Other games that are building right now, we're having success in this market, are noticing we're doing the same and wanting to be a part of it and help us as well. So lots of co-marketing efforts coming, some cross-integration coming. So you're going to see some pretty cool things happening, I think, with other games across both realms. And also another big effort is, now that we are in Clayton and Korea and, wanting to really make sure that we're opening up to other realms is, having partners help with marketing in those areas, also with like languages, and just expanding in those ways. So some neat efforts happening there. Another thing too is connecting partners from both realms, from both blockchains. For example, like Dreamer mentioned, RBL, getting them connected to Clayton so they could pick up some of their price feeds and information, and really doing introductions to spread and create that that structure across both chains. So let's see. As partnerships become official, obviously you're going to see them pop up in the castle. So you'll be seeing more of those pop up, and we'll be announcing them here. So just really excited about some of the things that are coming. So thanks for the time, Dreamer.
There were a few questions that popped up. I interpreted one as asking what would be listed when we do pursue a centralized exchange listing. That would be Duel. The game tokens, if they will be considered, that would be like a later phase. Initially, our cross-chain token that has number of utility recapping as like the token that unlocks like the fee distribution through the jeweler governance, power-ups that are in progress, and any other like premium features in the game that are not required, that the game tokens would be required. So you summon with game tokens, you do level ups and many other things with game tokens, Crystal, Jade. Duel is that that cross-chain, like chain agnostic token that will be the initial listing focus. So if that answers that question. And I feel like I had another update. Oh, there was a very long tokenomics committee. I did want to just update the group that we are very focused on a few topics. One of which is something that we mentioned earlier on in the summer. If we are ever to consider additional like burn options of tokens, how would we do so? I just wanted to report that I think we spent a good hour and a half or so, maybe even more, and much more time offline as well. Thinking of some really healthy, stable, but creative ways that we could add value in the ecosystem while also provide additional like deflationary measures in this market. So more to come on that, but did want to report that there are resources dedicated to that brainstorm, what's reasonable and able to be implemented in short order, and not negatively, not overly like negatively disruptive, but net positive change. So I'm not ready with details yet, but did want to make sure that people understand in the bear market, we're constantly looking at things we should be, deflationary measures, especially with tokenomic structure and where we are in the overall like grand unlocking period. So back over to you, Bolan.
Actually, we're going to go back to you for just a moment. There was one other question that I wanted to throw out there for you in regards to the centralized potential one-day listing of would the goal be to have it be withdrawable directly to DFK chain and or Clayton?
So like you withdraw from the centralized exchange and it's immediately redeemed on DFK chain or Clayton?
Right. Rather than like going through C-chain, Avalanche C-chain, that is.
Yeah, I think that we aren't able to answer that right now. I think our preference would be that it is seamless. We also are working on another on-ramp that's a bit more, they just focus on stables primarily. So on-ramp, off-ramp is what we're focused on, centralized exchange listing, and as much as we can make it gamified or integrated in the experience, we will. We may not control all those factors though. So great question, and we'll keep it in mind and include it in future updates.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Let's go to Beetle, dude. For any updates he has.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I feel like my updates are pretty similar every week because we're making a lot of good progress on things that take a little bit of time, which is cool. Things take time to build. So currently we're working pretty hard on a Hero Hub update, UI update, just clean up performance, trying to get that in a good spot going forward and have that match kind of the rest of our site as well. Making lots of progress on power-ups as well. Magnus mentioned that, working on the contracts, and we're also working on the front-end UI implementations with help from Hubert and Cabby getting the wireframes ready for us on those things. I think I've mentioned before that we're in talks with a in-game chat provider, trying to put together some proof of concept there. We can make progress on that front, but it seems so far it's seeming good, the services that they offer. So hoping that turns out good. And then the other huge thing is PvP. I've been able to work with Wisdom on some integrations into our system from what they've been working on and doing a little bit of internal testing. And I think Bolan's been posting up some cool skills and in-class information on that as well. So super excited for that. That's going to be huge, and just a ton of awesome things that I've been looking forward to for a while, and that I think will just kind of really round out the game experience of what we've got going with DeFi Kingdom. So a lot of awesome stuff. I think Second Best Dad is hard at work on eggs. along with Cinnamon Bun, working on green pet eggs. So I've been seeing some of those, and they're looking really fun. And yeah, I'm sure there's tons more happening that I'm probably missing. But yeah, second best dad making me look like a fool right now. He in chat instead of drawing bunnies or whatever. Cool. Well, that's it for me. I think for my update, like I said, lots of awesome things, lots of really exciting initiatives coming down the pipeline that I'm excited to release to y'all.
Thank you, Beetle Dude. And last but certainly not least, we are going to go over to Hubert, who not only can give an update, but also has some information to share with us.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess first for my update, kind of echoing what others have said already, have been continuing to work on the PvP system with Wisdom Gaming. We are right now, I think our big focus is on some UI things for how the interface will work, but there's just a lot there that we're doing all the time, and it's kind of a just big continuous package of work that we're going through, getting everything set up for our initial release, which I'm really excited for. The other stuff I'm working on right now, this was kind of a lead into the information, is working on getting ready for the level 10 profession quest release with pet utility. There's still things that we're tweaking and doing there, some analysis that we're trying to finalize on the different bonuses that we're going to be providing with the pets, and how they function. And then along with that, we're actually going to be making some adjustments to existing pets, this is kind of the announcement part. Just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware in advance about this. But one thing that we did decide to do during our as we've been developing the PvP system is, and kind of looking at how that's all going to play into crafting, and everything with weapons and equipment, is we had previously planned on there being 6 different crafting professions that could be done. And up to this point, I think maybe there's like 4 or so that you've seen on the pet cards that are possible. There might be 5. And those were weaponsmithing, armor smithing, goldsmithing, woodworking, leatherworking, and weaving, or I think maybe tailoring is what we called it. And so there were those 6. We're also planning to add 2 more, bringing the total to 8, which would bring in also alchemy and enchanting as possible crafting professions. And with that change, that kind of has led us to look at how were designing the pets and how the pets crafting bonuses were decided. And I think the conclusion was that we needed to make some adjustments with that. So currently, we have with the pets, there are like the blue and the green, the gray eggs can get 3 different possible profession bonuses for crafting professions. And those are kind of tied to the element that the pet receives. We are going to be adjusting it so that future pets, as of the update when it comes, that would be once pet utility comes out and we make the big update there, future versions of those eggs will only drop 2 out of the 3 elements that they potentially could drop right now. And I can double check right now and tell you what's going to be changing there. But so let's see, I forget what got removed. So I'll tell you what will be there. I think I remember. I'm just looking at the new version. I don't have the old version in front of me at the moment. But so blue eggs will only be able to have the water and ice element after this point, after that update happens, and gray eggs will only be able to have the earth and wind element. And then the other 2 eggs, green and yellow eggs, will also only have access to 2 different elements. but it's going to make it so each of those profession eggs that you can get from the profession quests will have unique access to those bonuses. So that doesn't include the golden egg, which a golden egg will actually have access to all of those bonuses as a potential outcome. But for each of the profession eggs, they'll have access to 2, and those will be kind of exclusive to that egg color within like the profession eggs themselves. So for those that have already hatched up to this point, there's not going to be any changes there. So if you do have a blue egg that has, I think it might have been Earth, perhaps, I really can't recall at the moment, but if it has that element and that profession, the crafting bonus, it would still have it in the future. It would just make it so like that would make it a little bit more unique because it wouldn't be possible after this next update. So there's not going to be any changes necessary or anything that's changing any pets that exist at this moment, but it will just kind of change how they will work in the future. And along with that, also we were looking at the rare variants that we have for the various pets and kind of their drop rates, and kind of decided that we're not going to change anything with that, but we kind of felt that they weren't rare enough. So we also are planning on adding an ultra rare variant class to pets during hatching, and so there will be a chance to get either the rare variant, which is like a 2% chance of getting that whenever you hatch an egg, and then there'll be an ultra rare variant, which I believe right now we have it set to be a 0.1% chance of getting it. So it's 20 times more rare possibility of getting an ultra rare variant compared to the rare variant. So what that means for you, I guess now, if you have any eggs that you haven't hatched, you kind of have a choice of, if you hatch before the next update where we do all this, you'll be able to have access to potentially a crafting bonus that you won't in the future have access to for that egg color, but you also won't have a chance of getting an ultra rare variant as well. So you can kind of make a decision there if you think one is more important than the other, but we just want to make sure that you're aware that this change is coming. And yeah, and I guess just one other thing along those lines with crafting, just to hopefully head off any questions about it as far as how crafting is going to apply to heroes. Just want to mention that we are planning to do a gene reroll for the unknown game genes that exist, or unknown 1 and unknown 2. At the moment, those haven't had any purpose in the game, and even at this moment now, they still don't. And our plan is to kind of have everything kind of be reset, because at the time when we put these genes together, we didn't know what we were going to do with those. We didn't really necessarily set it up in the way that we wanted to with crafting. So what we're going to do is kind of do a blank slate on those genes, and all heroes that exist up to the point where we do this reroll will all need to have those genes rerolled. But then after that point, they will be crafting genes, and we'll tell you what you can do with your heroes in the future. So that's coming. So yeah, anything with what you have in stats unknown 1 and 2 genes, like it's meaningless. Don't speculate on it, and don't make any sort of financial decisions based on it. But just want to make sure you guys had a heads up of where we're going here. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of really get things plugged in so that crafting will be an integral part of the entire system as we move forward. So sorry, long updates there, but I think that covers everything.
Very worthwhile, and I'm going to attempt to do a TLDR for you, but let me know if I missed anything. So the possible elements for the pet eggs are changing slightly, going from 3 to 2. If you already have blue and gray pets, those do not change. It will only be eggs hatched after that update is done. However, with that update, we are also adding ultra rare pets, so there will be a new rarity variant as well. And that's for crafting purposes, which will also be stats unknown 1 and 2 on heroes, and you cannot predict anything from their current stats, so please don't try because it literally doesn't exist. Is that about right, Hubert?
Yep, I think that covers it.
Cool. Real quick, I do want to note, because I meant to note earlier and I forgot, unfortunately, Sandwich Punch is not going to be able to do a transcript of our AMA for the next couple weeks. However, I will make sure that the pet information gets written up and sent out so people have it for reference, whether they heard it here or not, since we won't have his normal transcript. So I'll make sure that gets done. With that, there was one question, Hubert, about the new ultra rare. Will it have any differences other than aesthetics and appearance rate?
Yeah, just to be clear on these variants, if this is it's a cosmetic thing, so like the pet rock, for example, is a good one, or the gentleman crab. Those are rare variants that they still have the same access to the same abilities as any other pet, and it doesn't change anything with their likelihood of getting a certain rarity bonus. Though each tier of pet rarity, like if you have a rare pet versus a mythic pet, like there are different rare variants within each of those tiers. So it's kind of more of just a collector's item for players that want to have the rarer looking NFTs. That's kind of the purpose here, and we just felt that the 2% drop rate of the rare variants was it was good, but we want something even more rare than that. So that's what we're doing. So you can look forward to some new pet variations in terms of appearance, but it's not going to change anything in terms of their mechanics.
Perfect. Thank you, good sir. I'm actually going to go a little bit out of order on questions, which we are now going to roll into because I have gotten to everybody for updates. Yes. However, some of the newer questions are about pets anyway, so since we're already here and I've already made Hubert talk a bunch, I'm just going to keep going.
Yay.
Will the bonus from a 1-star common pet provide enough of a return to feed them regularly?
So that kind of it depends. There are some bonuses that don't necessarily give you like more tokens directly. Like there are bonuses that are just like a straight up experience bonus. It's up to, I guess, the user to determine if that is worth it to them. There are other cases where you do get like increased drop rates where it would be worth it for you to use it with like a level 10 hero, but maybe a brand new level 1 hero wouldn't see enough benefit from it. So there will be cases where, depending on what you're using and how you're using it, it may not be worth it. But I will also note that all pets, just having them equipped, give you an XP bonus as well. So, if that's worth it to you, it may be, even if you might end up spending a little bit more feeding the pet, you may think that the experience is worth it. So yeah.
Thank you, sir. Let's see. I'm actually going to go slightly out of order, even within the order. What advantage will a mythic 3-star pet provide versus a rare 3-star pet?
Right. So I assume we mean just like talking, if we're talking like profession bonuses and the 3-star pet profession bonus. So or combat, or yeah, any of those. Like, so yeah, there's either 1 or 2 or 3-star bonuses of each of those types. Regardless of what rarity the pet was that got it, each of those have access to the same pool of abilities, and the chances of getting any of those are not modified at all based on the rarity of the pet you have. However, the pet itself, just by virtue of its rarity, does grant a better experience bonus to you by having it equipped and fed. So like a rare versus a mythic, I think it's almost a 50% increase in how much XP that you can gain from a bonus by just having it equipped. And that's regardless of whatever bonus it actually has on it. So in addition to whatever bonus it has on it, it might also have an experience bonus, so you get even more experience above and beyond like what the bonus itself is. So if that makes sense, I said bonus a lot.
All the bonuses. All right, and then would you give the like what each bonus tier will provide? So like what the range for 1 star versus 2 star versus 3 star is?
Yeah, so that is not like a fixed number. We had to balance these bonuses out based on their value or using analysis. So something might scale from like between 5 to 10 to like 20 to 30, and then like 40 to 60 or something like that. And another one might be a completely different range. So there isn't a hard and fast thing that I can say, but I can say just in general that you can expect close to about maybe a 4x improvement between like a 1 star and a 3 star in general. And sometimes even more than that, because each bonus itself, where possible, has a range within it that it can do. So like a 3-star bonus might have between a 70 and a 90% improvement on something. And that's just randomly decided when the bonus is decided. So even within when you compare like two different mythic pets that happen to end up with the exact same experience bonus, for example, one might have like a 70% experience bonus and the other might have a 90% experience bonus. I'm not saying that those are the exact numbers that we're using for that. I'm just saying we added a lot of randomness to kind of make it so that there would be a lot of uh, variability with these pets, because unlike heroes that level up and whatnot, pets are a lot more fixed. And so we wanted to make sure we built in um, a breadth of capability into the system.
Nice. And then one last thing that got asked as a follow-up in chat, will it cost more to feed a mythic pet than a common pet, or are they all the same?
They are all the same, at least
Cool,
for
cool.
now.
Fair. All right. So, we will give Hubert a short break, and we're gonna go over to Beetle Dude. I have a two-part question about the tavern. Any thoughts on using a system other than the slider bars on the filtering of the tavern?
Well, we did actually fix the issue that was happening before, where the two slider bubbles would not overlap. So that should be fixed, unless people are seeing similar issues still happening. We are in the middle of doing some refresh on the Hero Hub, so we'll end up using, I think, similar components to what we use for pets. So it will probably improve just in general from that as well. But yeah, if there's additional thoughts on that, I'd be happy to hear them. But I think for right now, they should be functioning as expected.
Awesome. And part two, any thoughts on creating a system of preferred saved selections in the tavern?
Yes, yeah, it kind of all goes hand in hand, I think, because it'll be, we've talked about like hero tagging and hero grouping and things like that. So I 100% would like to do that. I think with what we're doing now, and hopefully releasing in the next couple of weeks with the Hero Hub refresh, is that we'll have a new UI that we can kind of use as a baseline to start adding in some of that additional things. And also part of our kind of PvP internal testing includes basically a user login that we'll maintain across the site, so that would kind of give us the option to save these off-chain data items that people could use to have their foraging crew or their fishing crew or whoever, or even maybe just like a saved questing queue or something along those lines. We'll have a lot more options moving forward than we have in the past, and those kinds of quality of life things are definitely on the internal roadmap of sorts for improvement.
Awesome. Thank you much, Beetle.
Yes, sir.
All right, next question. Balance patches and the market. So with the upcoming release of PvP and PvE and combat in general, I guess, it's understood and expected that tweaks and reworks and balancing are going to be a pretty much forever ongoing thing. Any thoughts on how they will be implemented to avoid artificially disrupting the market, such as there being a particularly overpowered thing, people buy hard into it, and then it gets nerfed, for lack of a better term. I think probably, I don't know, Hubert, Dreamer, Fox, literally everybody. Whoever wants to go first.
All right, I guess I'll start on this. Yeah, so I think for anyone that's played any like online RPG type game, you know that balancing patches are inevitable. It's because the system is so complex. It's impossible for us to get it right on the first go. There will likely be some combinations or some abilities that are overpowered or underpowered that we didn't catch in our testing. There are likely to be some combinations that are especially powerful that we didn't realize because there's so many different combinations that we likely will not be able to test them all. And I mean, I know that you in the community are generally more clever than us, and we'll find as many of the most powerful combos as possible, and we will likely have to respond to those if it creates an unhealthy ecosystem. So I think that the important thing is that everyone is aware that balancing will be a thing and is not, paying extreme premiums for something that if it feels like it's broken, it's probably going to be changed at some point. So you likely should, make your decisions in terms of what you're purchasing with that in mind. We want to make sure it's a competitive game with various ways to play, and not having there be just one end all be all broken method to win everything. So I think we will try to have good messaging within the game about making good decisions about that. And when it comes to actually when we do these balancing patches, if it's like for a specific class and whatnot, we will have well, first off, there will be a way for you to respec your character, and lose and like get all your skill points back and then start over. There will be a fee associated with that, but also if we ever rebalance any specific heroes, we will have like a one-time free reset available that you could use if you don't like the skill choices that you made with a previous setup, if the balances like change things in a way you don't like. So that's kind of the plan to help at least mitigate any concerns there. But it's going to have to be a thing. It's in all game development, any online RPG. If you can find one where they didn't actually rebalance something and it was perfect from the beginning, I would be very surprised. I don't think it exists, and we're going to have to rebalance it. So just make sure you're keeping that in mind when you're making your decisions about what you're purchasing or how much you're paying for something. If you think, I don't think abilities should be the only thing you're thinking about when you're thinking about buying a hero. So yeah.
Thank you.
I'll just add a thought that a lot of the things that we do are going to be having a lot of different stages of testing. So there's internal testing, there's alpha testing, there's probably, for like most of these, there'll be some kind of a beta. And I think during that phase of like the beta, you could expect a lot of things to still change. But with each new phase, there'll be less and less things that will change. So that's just kind of the approach that we'll be taking, I believe.
Thank you both.
Called me out at the beginning. I'll say something too. So we did chat about this a little bit, and I think one comment here you say it, Hubert, but I think it was really helpful. As we're looking at other games, So I heard Hubert say this offline, but didn't say it live. So I might just paraphrase a little bit. But as we look at other games and how they, have ongoing meta and PvP, but also have to balance like any type of like PV option, these rebalances are really hard to do perfectly. So I think we should expect rebalances, and we hopefully will avoid like things just outright crazy broken. But some games are taking like the buff only approach where they're avoiding, I think as Bolan already said, the nerf approach. Really, if we only ever buffed heroes that were lightly used, we would then have to constantly be rebalancing the PvE side as well. So for any that just don't ever want things nerfed, we're going to do our best to have things well tested. But as people play the game and find combos and other things that work better than others or just more fun than others, we'll do our best to find ways to make other things more fun and balanced, while also keeping in mind there's a whole ecosystem to keep like stabilized here. So we are dedicated to stability while also making sure there's ongoing improvement in gameplay and like utility, both from the game perspective and from the fun perspective across all the assets. So hopefully major tweaks would be less frequent, but we're not going to avoid something that's completely broken. Avoid like some major change if it's in everybody's best interest and the stability of the group. In the same way, we're going to probably have things be as predictable as possible, and also explain things so we understand why we did it and what are our options afterward, and make sure that we're all, nobody feels like they just kind of got the short end of the stick as much as we can avoid that. So back over to you, Bolan.
Appreciate it. Thank all three of you. And a quick TLDR of all three of them. If it's broke, it's going to get fixed. Don't ape into it because it's going to get fixed. Anyway. So, next question. So, with the change in how stamina recovery works, with recovery becoming faster as a hero levels, it brings basically, there's more of a benefit on foraging and fishing currently because those quests can then be run more times. Excuse me. Whereas with gardeners and miners, it's less impactful to those two quests directly because of the length of the quest. So the question is essentially, was that intentional? Are there designs to change that currently at all? Hubert?
I am sorry, I was responding into the chat.
You're good. I saw the message come through and I was like, he has no idea. No, the question about with stamina recovery being faster for higher level heroes, the benefit to foraging and fishing versus the benefit to gardening and mining, and any designs on that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely can acknowledge that the impacts are higher for the faster quests. Though, I at least for me, I like to just run 3 groups of miners, and before we made this change, stamina would kind of like, if you just were running them back to back, you would end up with their stamina kind of getting down to 24 stamina and stabilizing at that point. Now with higher level heroes, the stabilization point increases to like a higher thing, so you could get them to eventually stabilize at like 30, for example, if that's your goal. And also you could do things like you'll get enough stamina to where you could, before queuing, have enough to be like, all right, I'm going to send these guys on a training quest and get a little bit of experience and some chances at some crystals and whatnot. So there's some strategies you can do there. As far as like the future, I definitely have that in mind, and I'm thinking about things we can do for future profession quests. It wouldn't be for the level 10s, so like in the short term, I wouldn't expect any major adjustments to be made. And also just with the hero cap being at level 20, I think the impact is much smaller at this point than it will be in the future. But we could see like future profession quests requiring like 2 stamina per tick as an example. And some other things. It's definitely on my radar, and I'm thinking about it and want to make sure that we're not overlooking anything there. But at least I think in the short term, I don't think it's a major problem, at least in my just assessment of it. So, but yeah, hopefully that answers that.
Yes, sir. I do believe it does. Thank you much. And let's see. Okay. Oh, so, and I'm going to respond to the question on the talk side as well. But if the submitter is listening, there's a question about a mobile version that we weren't clear on which, like, what exactly they were asking. So I'm going to respond on site as well. But if you are here, we are not ignoring your question. We want to answer it. But if you would not mind giving us some clarification on what it is that you're looking for, we'll keep it queued up for next week so that we can circle back to it. Which brings us to, so I assume you have a testnet/test environment. Actually, Twitter confirms that it does exist, where you are balancing the PvP skill trees and whatnot. Would love to get confirmation that this test environment exists, and have you been practicing with heroes leveled out to 100 or at least past 20? Hubert, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I can definitely confirm that it exists. I will say that it's still in early stages, and we're not really to the point where we would gain great benefits from testing at level 100. We still are in the works of getting weapons and armor all set up, and even if we do go out to level 100, which I think we will, I don't think we're going to have weapon designs from levels 1 to 100 all done like by the time PvP comes out. That'll just make everything delayed because it's a lot of work, and so we will likely have kind of weapons designed out to levels 1 through like 20 to 30 at first, and then our next task after that is kind of since we're doing things in like 10 level chunks, we'll be kind of working in that regard. But yeah, I mean, I think the thrust of the question is, are we making sure that we're designing abilities that are balanced both at low levels and high levels? And, that is something that we will be looking at. It might be something that we're still going to have to change things even still, just because of new weapons and armor that we introduce into the game. But yeah, it is, this is, I think, if anyone's really like, I always refer to other MMOs, but there's a lot of other MMOs that have level cap increases and stuff, and you know that things end up changing a lot sometimes, and that may end up having to be the case here as well. But we're definitely trying our best to put it in a good starting condition so we don't have to do super major changes. But it's still possible that we will have to anyway, just as we go along. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's important to remember that we can start playing with level 100, but there's so much between here and there that it's kind of an exercise in futility. So, excuse me. That actually does it for our questions, which is pretty much perfect time-wise, which is great. I love it when things work out. So,
What about the ones?
yep, you're right. No, sorry. Yep, you are 100% correct. I am off. So, never mind. That does not do it for our questions. We have 2 questions remaining. The first one is, Frisky mentioned at one point there might be changes to duel mechanics during the running season, and if so, we would be targeting mid-season, which is this week. Are we expecting any changes? Fox, thank you.
Thank you. What about the ones? Yeah. So this was asked in the AMA questions channel, which we do sometimes miss because it's not on the talk site, and we do prefer them there. But we wanted to make sure we got them. So yeah, I did mention that we had analytics and things for this dual season, and we've been analyzing how things are going. And I also mentioned a couple times in the past that if we did feel the need to change things, that it would be done around the midpoint of the season, and that is this week. So I sort of combined all of my analyses a few days back and created a plan for a proposal that I think we should do in this season. I was able to actually identify some issues with the 1v1 and 3v3 dual types where they aren't increasing as much as they should have been. So having that get like actually fixed in this season 2 is a thing that we want to do, possibly this week. And then also other things that we looked at to see if we could adjust to ensure that our players are actually able to hit the like ranks with a like reasonable amount of effort. There was a few things that we identified that would help that. One of them is reducing the penalty for losing slightly, so that I think currently if you win, you get X amount of points. If you lose X minus 3 points, basically. So there is a little bit of a gain there where if you're averaging around 50% win, you should still be increasing. We actually would like to have that be a little bit softer, so that now it'll be 2/3 times X that you would lose instead of X minus 3. It ends up that if you lose, it doesn't hurt quite as much. So the plan is to adjust that as well. And the third thing is streaks. Currently, if you get a streak for like a win streak, you get an extra point for a streak of 1, 2 for 2, 3 for 3, 4 for 4, 5 for 5, and then it just has sort of like a cap at 5. And so if you hit like 6 or 7 or 8, you're still just getting 5, 5, 5. The plan is to, in order to incentivize like strategy and skill and trying to play with your best team, we would like to increase the streak bonus such that it'll increase over time or over the streak itself. So basically on a streak of 1, you still get 1, 2 would be 3, 3 would be 6, 4 would be 10, and a streak of 5, which would still be the cap, would be 15 points. So that should help players that have a higher like win ratio to climb the ranks higher and have them get paired up with higher ranked teams even faster, basically. So it helps to have things stay in balance more. So with those 3 changes, the simulations I've ran should enable some to like hit those higher ranks, and I'm really excited about that. I'm planning to implement these changes in the next day or 2, and that will be sort of a off release cycle update. And then as a part of that, we're also like looking at basically retroactively seeing what players would have gotten if this had been in place from the start, and actually adjust players' ranks up from that amount. So not all players actually increase their points with this because of the increase to like the base level of points that I had mentioned for the 1v1 and the 3v3. It could actually have resulted in some actually earning less, and we won't be reducing ranks for those. But I think like 75% of the players actually increase their amounts off of these changes, so you should expect to see a little bump there in the coming days. So hopefully that helps to answer that. And then for season 3, we'll also be implementing all these changes there as well, along with other things. So there you go.
Thank you. And then one other question: locked crystal airdrop.
Great. So had a lot of progress on this last week. In order to make this work, we have to adjust the cap of the crystal token from 125 million to 250 million in alignment with the new 2.0 vote that we did back in, I think it was September. So in order to do that, we have to do a pre-compile on our chain, which basically lets that be adjusted. And that's a whole new thing for us. We haven't written any in the past, but for the past few weeks, I've been working on that. Actually even longer, I guess, because I was doing, But anyways, made a lot of progress, especially recently, and I was able to get that up and everything like running and testing on my local. Had that get merged into our fork of the subnet EVM repo, and we were slated to start testnet rollout of that as early as yesterday, but we're kind of holding off right now because we're exploring different ways that we could perhaps submit a precompiled to Avalanche themselves, and then have them include that in the base repo if it's a tool that other chains could potentially use. And if we can do it that way, that would preclude us having to maintain our own fork, which is awesome as well. So we're exploring that path. We'll see how that goes. But I can say that it's had a lot of progress. It is entirely possible and in the works. And I'm hoping and shooting for probably a couple weeks, because when we do this, it has to be a thing that all of our node operators have to implement and update in order for it to work. And that can take time, because we don't want any nodes to be left behind where they all of a sudden stop to sync our chain. And there's a lot that's involved with that. So that's the update on that.
Perfect. Thank you for both the reminder and the answers. And see, now it's not my fault we went over, it's Fox's, because he reminded me. We are going to go ahead. Actually, if everybody has just a moment, there was one other question, so we'll snag it real quick. It's a Dreamer primarily topic. It's a couple parts, but they kind of all go together. So I'm gonna just list them real quick, and then we can always recap them if we need to. It's about bridging. So if we have a fee sharing deal with Synapse is the first question. Have we thought about building our own bridge so that the fees all go to our ecosystem is the second question. And then just general thoughts on building bridges to and dexes on multiple chains as a business model.
Yeah, maybe I'll answer like the first and last part of that, and then the middle chunk I'm gonna defer to Fox and Magnus there for building the bridge. But yeah, since we initiated our partnership with Synapse way back when, that started with a fee sharing agreement. So there's been fee sharing all along. They're really good partners. You know, sometimes we are the number one thing they're working on, but you know, they have other clients and chains they have to service. So whenever we have major things like Christabel and Serendale launches, we work a ton together. And when I say we, I think you're having Magnus and Fox from the contract side, you're having Typical and Beetle from the front end side, and many others as well. So yeah, they've been great partners. We do have fee sharing. It is definitely a group effort. It isn't only them to like solo building and us using it. We actually participate quite a bit, which I think maybe Fox and Magnus might jump into more. I think the question was like having bridges and dexes on other chains, and like the overall strategy. So the way we use chains, we gamify chains into realms, and bridges unlock that ability to go back and forth and keep it like one cohesive ecosystem. But you know, if we were to go and sprinkle dexes on every single chain out there, we're not like just a dex only offering. The dex is really the backbone of the overall Web3 enabled game that has you know, numerous tokens that are kind of ever increasing either in type or quality. You know, having like certain resources be burned into potions that support heroes that get stronger, that then find pets that hatch and get equipped, that then get into crafting and so on. So it's really important to have these tokens have like a secondary market of sorts. And an on and off ramp. So DEXs and similar services will continue to be a focus where we have gain. We do not have gameplay or future intention to have gameplay. There will be less reason to really move to a chain or expand to a chain and just drop in a DEX and a bridge, for example. A lot of resources go into that. And if it isn't supporting ultimate like gameplay or mini gameplay or some collaboration, likely it won't be slotted for priority. Hopefully that hit the first and last question there, Bolon, but I'm going to pass it over to Fox and or Magnus to talk about you know, working with a strong partner versus building our own, and kind of what we have been building with Synapse so far.
Yeah, I can speak to that middle question there. So yeah, but basically the way our bridges work currently, both with Synapse and with Layer 0, is they've kind of built like the message passing interface, just kind of like the base layer. And then we build on top of that our own contract that uses their their various solutions, and so we basically have the opportunity to work on them or work with them on the code, and we've written a good chunk of the code for both of those in terms of like the application layer, and so we kind of like review that with like Synapse and Layer 0, and for those like kind of bridge specific security assumptions we need to make, and then we have knowledge of our game and how that needs to work with our kind of multitude of contracts. So there's kind of a lot of collaboration that goes into making sure that's done securely and done kind of performantly and things like that. So I guess it's almost better than us building our own bridge. We kind of have people looking at it from kind of both sides to make sure it's really solid and going to work well. So I would say we're kind of like trusting the experts to make sure the bridge security is there, and they've both been great partners so far, Layer 0 and Synapse, and then we get to kind of customize it to our application. So to me, it's kind of better than us building our own by ourselves.
Thank you both. Yeah, I mean, as I think everyone knows, security is the utmost importance, especially when it comes to bridges. So, yeah, no, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but that's some insight into our thoughts and processes on that. So we are now going to wrap it up for the week. I will give everybody a moment if they have any final thoughts, and then we'll go to Dreamer and Fox to wrap it up. Sounds like nobody has any final thoughts. All right, Dreamer.
Oh no, I was searching the best high five Giphy to respond to Crypto Grady. Is this just closing comments?
Yes, priorities.
Okay. Okay.
Gift.
All right. We're super over, so I'm gonna limit my comments. But I think what the thoughts that were coming to mind as everybody was speaking, that happens often is in like discussions with people that are new to DeFi kingdoms, is we're doing a lot of stuff. If we look at the protocol, it's much more than just one thing or the other. I won't go through and list each of the things it is. But I feel like we should be very, very happy and proud. We definitely should be, or at least I feel that we should be quite bullish on the team and the offering, because we aren't getting focused just on one thing at a time. I feel like we do like 20 things at a time, and the team that we have here, and the team that's behind the scenes, and the team that's probably actively working right now, either creating art or coding or strategizing or marketing or getting feedback or planning new initiatives. It's just all day we do calls or work or chat and stay connected, and it's just mind blowing to see the output, not only in quality and what we're doing well, but just the number of things that it takes to accomplish what we want to accomplish with the ecosystem, with the game, with the fun factor, with the play to earn factor, with the stability and the beauty. I'm proud to be here. I'm thankful to be here. I'm grateful for everybody that's spoke today and contributed to comments made today. And definitely quite bullish. So over to you, Mr. Christy Fox.
Thanks, Streamer. I just want to echo all those wonderful thoughts and just add to it that it's really good to be here, able to build in the bear market like we've said that we would do. We've executed on that, and we'll continue to always build up, down, sideways, diagonals, whatever. But that's what we're here for, is to build this awesome thing, and it's really amazing to see as you get more and more integrations and more connections in this space, you just create something that's greater than the sum of the parts. And I've said that a few times, but it's very true. I'm excited to be here on the team because we have an amazing team. Everyone is hard at work, and it's really cool to see all of the things that are being built and done all at the same time. And also here in the community where there's such amazing people here with all the art and memes and support and stuff like the third-party tools that are being built. There's just like so much out there that's being done around this space, and it's just really amazing to see. So I just want to say thank you to everyone on our team and in the community. And here's to a great Q1 and 2023. And Bullish, thank you for coming.
Bullish.
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 Bullish.